PeoriaLife.com. Today we have a very distinguished guest, Reverend Tyson Parks III. Welcome, Reverend.
Thank you. Good to be with you guys this evening.
So we were just having a little pre-game talk, kind of talking about the podcast, and you were telling me about the Eureka Kids Club, and you name dropped somebody, and you just blew my mind. Can you tell me a little bit about that program?
The Eureka Kids Club program, the head coach for that is Ryan Sides, but also at the facility at the training center, Dylan Reel, he's out there, and he has facilitates some camps, and so you'll see commercials if you go on my Facebook page and his Facebook page. You'll see that they work out and they use the facility. So Eureka's becoming a little bit of a hub for wrestling in this area, and we're grateful for that. We want to grow the sport, and we also want our institution to be known as a quality, first and foremost, an institution for academics, but also some great athletics, and wrestling being one of the sports, one of the key sports. So.
Well, yeah, and I should probably mention that Reverend Tyson Parks is the assistant wrestling coach. Sorry, I'm like manager. No, the assistant wrestling coach at Eureka College there. And yes, he name dropped Dylan Reel. Dylan is, I mean, he's the realest, man. Like I've trained with him back in the day. You know, him and Jake Childers was around, and there was another guy who used to come into the gym all the time. But man, he is so strong and so flipping good. Like I just remember him like doing we just did a quick sparring match, and like his grappling was just next level. And I think I remember he was like a 2 or 3 time state champ. Like he did it all.
Yes, he was. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like we lost a little bit of video.
Yeah, we lost video.
Okay.
I'm not sure what happened, but I mean, we can go on with it.
That's fine.
I don't know what happened. It just cut off. Let's see.
So
there we go.
You were also telling me a little bit about some of the transition that was happening. So we know that Lincoln College closed in the area, and that was a tough thing for a lot of people around here to deal with. And you were just talking about how the Eureka College was able to work with them to absorb a lot of the athletes there, so that they could continue their scholarship and their education and their athletic. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, I think that's just phenomenal.
Yeah, they were able to make that transition. Coach Beal, he reached out to Eureka College and asked them if they wanted to start a program, and he was able to do that. I wasn't in on that part of it. I came in later on as he was developing the wrestling program, but it's been a great fit. We did something historical last year, and only our second year. We took second in the conference, and so he was acknowledged as coach of the year. We got coaching staff of the year, and our team, our men's and women's team, got second in the SLIAC conference. So that's phenomenal with just 2 years of transitioning. I mean, and we're not flying under the radar. They know who we are for D3 program, which is good. I wrestled at Augustana, so we were able to be a part of their duels. We go up there and we travel, and Coach Bill's schedule, he doesn't duck anybody. We went to the Lindenwood Open, and then at the beginning of the year, they go to Decorah, Iowa, to the Luther Open, where the Iowa Hawkeyes are there. You have all of the top D1 schools. I mean, when you wrestle open at an open tournament, the divisions D1, D2, D3, it doesn't matter. It's open, and so I was literally down there coaching across the mat from John Smith. Oklahoma State was at the Lindenwood Open, Missouri. So you're seeing some of these guys, Isaiah Martinez from the University of Illinois. He was coaching. So see BJ Futrell at Northwestern. I mean, these guys are at tournaments. So Eureka College is there if you're looking to be at a school that's going to get you some exposure, and you're just looking for a solid program. I encourage you, check out Eureka College.
I'll say wrestling success is no accident. Like that's something you really got to work for. And I around that, I had a question for you. Like, so my father was a big wrestler. He wrestled through high school and a little bit in college. He was undefeated his first year, state champ. Second year, state champ, but he only lost one match. He was ticked about that. And then he was playing football, and he broke his foot in a gopher hole, and wound up losing his scholarship to the college that he was going to.
That's very
wanted to-
unfortunate.
Well, I thought it was just like really interesting because he would just kill himself for wrestling, and like he was always worried about getting injured and stuff, and then he goes and just breaks his foot in a gopher hole. But I want to know from you, for especially for young kids who are getting into wrestling for the first time, what do you see as the most dangerous aspect?
Most dangerous aspect is just like poor training habits. You end up performing how you practice sometimes. You keep it fun, but you also want to keep the kids safe and make sure they're paying attention. So lack of focus can cause injury. Lack of focus.
Yeah.
But you also have to know how to engage the kids, young kids, and the older ones as well. Keeping them engaged, keeping them focused in that intensity level. Not to the point where they're, spastic, but to where they have intensity and it's just passion for the sport.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, yeah, clearly there's some phenomenal coaching that's happening over there. So tell me a little bit about your background with wrestling. I'd love to hear a little bit more. So you sounds like you wrestled at Augustana. Take me back a little bit farther.
Okay, well, I started to go all the way back. My father was an all-state wrestler from Moline High School. And I'm a second-generation pastor. So some kids, when I was at Moline is where I grew up, Roosevelt Elementary School.
The
So
Illinois
some guys,
side?
yeah, Roosevelt Elementary in the Illinois side in the Quad Cities. So some kids, some of my little classmates, they were coming to school, 3rd, 4th grade. Soccer was big in Moline. So I was actually going to try to play soccer. But then these guys, my little classmates, they come to school with their little wrestling medals from an open tournament. And I thought that was like the coolest thing. They had their little gold medals and they would wear them on their little sweaters and shirts. And then I was going through some of my dad's stuff in the basement. His stuff was all tucked away. I ran into his Letterman jacket from when he was at Moline High School, and he was all-state wrestler, and it had the state of Illinois, and he had his regional championship, sectional championship medals on there. And I wore that thing to school so proud. And they weren't my medals, they were my dad's. But man, I could stick my chest out, and them guys like, hey, you weren't at the tournament. And I was like, I know, this is my dad's shirt. And all of the teachers were complimenting me. Oh, that is so cool. You got your dad's Letterman jacket, and this is just so awesome. Man, everybody was coming up to me. I was like a little star, and I hadn't even stepped foot on the mat. But then when those guys were bringing their medals, that just triggered something in me like, man, I want my own. And so I asked my dad to sign us up for wrestling. Well, we lived across the street from Calvin Coolidge, and that's where they had the Moline Parkboard wrestling program. So I went in over there, and my dad signed us up. Man, I come to find out, so my dad knew all the coaches. He went around and shook everybody's hand. He took us over there. I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was that good. And so we were like, oh, this is Tyson Parks' kids. So my father got us involved in wrestling. And then I was in 5th grade. And then I wrestled for 2 years. First year was brutal. I was like 4-2. My very first match, I didn't even have wrestling shoes. I got out there and the kid just beat me down real bad. And I said, I'm not gonna let that happen again. Second year, I was like in 6th grade. I did really well. 7th grade, I went to Moline Wilson, wrestled IKWF, got 4th in sectional, broke my heart, and I just kept pushing myself. 8th grade, we moved to Jacksonville with my father being a pastor, so they didn't have IKWF, which is the Illinois Kids Wrestling Federation. They didn't have that in Jacksonville, but they had the IESA. So I got down there, and I was 28-0, state IESA state champion, and you can check the archives. I'm in there, and wrestled at Jacksonville High School, was the winningest freshman at that time, 1990, I was the winningest freshman in school history. My coach down there was the legendary Hall of Fame coach Tom Carmody. He's in the IHSA record books and Hall of Fame coach. And so then my sophomore year, we moved to Galesburg, Illinois, and I just continued. Was a sophomore state qualifier, got sixth my junior year, and my senior year I was ranked second, and I ended up losing in the quarterfinals, and that just broke my heart. Wrestled at Lincoln College after high school, then transferred to Augustana, and I was a conference champion at Augustana, and our team was a conference champion. So I was an individual and team conference champ, and it was just awesome, and a national qualifier for Augustana my sophomore year of college. And so, I thank God for the experience and the opportunity to what wrestling has afforded me, and that's where I'm at. And so that carries over. I knew a lot of prominent coaches that are coaching now because I wrestled with them back in the 90s. When I was at Lincoln, Matt Hughes was on our team, and Mark Fiore, he was on our team. He was Matt Hughes' longtime trainer. So in the wrestling world, some of the guys that are trainers now, I wrestled and saw those guys, met Randy Couture, knew Bam Postelnik, the head coach at Moline, Todd Rosenthal. He used to teach us Greco. So, it's a small world in the wrestling community. Matt Lackey, who was a national champion for Illinois, he's from Moline.
I know that name.
Yeah, he's the national champion for Illinois. He's from Moline. He's quite a bit younger than I, but the year that Moline won state, they worked out and practiced at Augustana College. So my coach, Kevin Pueblo, who's a Hall of Fame head coach, and Todd Rosenthal were good friends, and they trained over at the college. So, it's all interconnected. And I see some of that symmetry also with Eureka College and the surrounding community with the wrestlers. So it just gives me a good feeling and a good vibe of where we want to be and the direction we're headed, because it's all inclusive and everybody's wanting the better for the sport.
What do you want to see for the program?
Hey, we got our eyes set on winning conference next year. So
what's it going to take? I mean, is it going to be? Do you need more recruits, more people? Like, what does the program need to take off?
Yeah. Whatever we can do to promote that institution and our team. That's why I'm doing this interview, and just want people to know EC Wrestling. We got a little motto: EC baby all the way. That's what we say. We just want to grow the sport. Our women's team is phenomenal. We got we have a Fargo All-American, a 4-time Alaskan state champion. We've got recruits from Alaska. We've got some very tough local homegrown kids too from Pekin that are wrestling, some young ladies that are tough.
What about?
So we want to get all that local talent.
What about like me? If I wanted to go in there and I want to learn some wrestling, I need to get my whizzer under control. I need to learn my underhooks and my all my takedowns. How do I sign up?
You to sign up for that as an adult, you would have to definitely reach out to Coach Eric Beal and then see if you can get some one-on-one training. I'm sure he will do that. He's the head coach. But for people who want to learn the sport, go contact Ryan Sides with that kids program, and you want to get those kids involved at an early age. And I would say that would be the way to go if you're looking at intermediate level and high school level. We did have camps, and Coach Bill has camps for high school age kids all the way to the college age students as well. So whatever we can do, we can work something out. He allows me to be the spokesperson for him on this. So he is the head coach, and I always want to give due respect to the head coach, but you can always contact me too.
Well, it's cool that it gave you kind of the long leash to kind of do what you want with that. That's awesome. A lot of head coaches just kind of keep that stuff tight and close to themselves. But he clearly picked the right person.
Yeah, I communicated with him, and he knew I was going to do this interview. So we're just trying to promote our wrestling program. But it's D3 is a lot different than Division I. Our student athletes are not on scholarship. That's
interesting.
Academic. Yeah. Well, a lot of people didn't know that, but no, NAIA they have scholarships. They have academic scholarships, but not athletic scholarships. Let me clarify.
Well, I'm curious. What do you think that, like, say a program like this get it into the heart of Peoria? What kind of impact do you think something like that would have on the kids in that area?
I think it could have a huge impact because then the kids see, and we got some local kids that are out there wrestling. We have kids from Richwoods, and we had some students from Central and Manual. So I think once the sport grows and they see that a small institution like Eureka College is getting some notoriety because we don't dodge or duck anybody, and we're out there competing at the highest level, I think that'll draw kids where they don't have to feel they need to go away to school. They got something right here, and this can be a hub. Look at the Washington program. Look at Tremont. We can do this right here. We got homegrown kids that can make a real impact.
Yeah.
So what do you think the first thing they should do is? I'm interested in wrestling. I'm a young kid. I want to get into it. Or maybe, like, I don't know anything about wrestling and I want to learn a little bit more. Like, where should I go to get my introduction? Should I, like, just show up at a match and
I
start
think
watching
showing up
stuff?
at a meet, showing up at a meet is really good. Or talking to people who are involved
That
in the
scares me.
sport.
Nerve-wracking. I can't do that.
What's
I'm
that?
just kidding. I said it's nerve-wracking. I can't do that.
Yeah.
No, I was just
It's,
kidding. But yeah, so you said showing up to a meet would be like, that would be a great way to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. And that's what we want to be able to do is promote the sport. Go to a high school meet. And it also takes mentors. It takes people who are involved. If you see a kid's got some unchanneled energy, get them involved in athletics. Take them to the meet. Take a group of kids to a wrestling meet. Even the girls now, the young ladies, they got women's teams. Our ladies team, I'm telling you, we have some very serious wrestlers that are really making an impact and a name for themselves, but they are out there competing at a high level. As I was telling you, one of the young ladies, Mackenzie Cook, one of our student athletes, was a 4-time Alaska State champion and won Fargo. So that's a major accomplishment. She is an elite wrestler. So, we have, and she helps with the camps and stuff too. So they're going to be trained by people at the highest level who have collegiate wrestling experience and have done well in high school as well as college.
So we had another conversation. We actually met during one of the Peoria Martial Arts Forums meetings over the phone. And while we were talking, we were talking a little bit about, post-college for collegiate wrestlers and what that looks like. What does that look like right now for some of those athletes?
Who have gone on and have already graduated. And right now, they can actually go into mixed martial arts and it can be lucrative. I would encourage those kids, and if they haven't started in the workforce and they still have that desire to compete, now they can be compensated for it. You see a lot of high-level wrestlers who have transitioned into MMA.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for those athletes post-college, but maybe a troubled youth as well. Once they get involved in something and they feel a part of it, it can change their mindset. And you can change a culture. You can change a community with a lot of support. People can get behind that person. So, I see mixed martial arts or combat sports as a way to channel a lot of negative energy and create it, make it into something positive.
When we were talking about, like, a lot of the opportunities with wrestling right now, once you get outside of the college environment, it's kind of gone. Like those days are just behind you, unless you've got a good group of individuals where you can go and continue that kind of training. But I totally agree with you. I think that some of the best opportunities out there for wrestlers who are sitting at that top level and want to keep going with something because they've just got that tenacity, they've got that it thing, get into mixed martial arts, because there's a strong chance that you will dominate in something. some of the best mixed martial artists in the world, especially in the beginning of like the UFC and MMA back then, they were wrestlers. They all had
Oh,
wrestling
absolutely.
foundations.
Mark Coleman,
Yep.
Dan Severance. I mean, these guys were all wrestlers. And, I was in that. I graduated high school in 93, and that's when the UFC was like first taking off. And then I never would have thought guys that I wrestled with ended up being, they're legends in the sport. And people know who was getting it in back in the day. They know who was competing. So in the wrestling community is small. There's guys who are elite level, and then you got guys who are good, and you guys have guys that were very good, but it all becomes a family because people are connected. It's all about connections. And some of the people that I was naming, I'm naming because I know them personally. I knew them before they went on and won those national titles. And my coach was Kevin Pueblo was a Hall of Fame coach. Tom Carmody was a Hall of Fame coach. And then I'm in my high school's athletic Hall of Fame. So from wrestling, I had a winning percentage, 103 wins, 13 losses. So, I wasn't a slouch. I'm not just talking about something I aspired to do. I've been there. And that translates over to your coaching, to your mental toughness. And for me, it's my passion, just like preaching the gospel, the good news. Can't have one without the other. I'm just passionate about what I do, and I put my heart and soul in it. And those kids and those athletes, they can tell. People can tell. Isn't it right, Ashman?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
No, and that's like, so one thing I love about psychology is like one of the most infectious emotions is just smile, laughter. Like those is like, and when people see someone who is just an expert at their craft, just having an amazing time doing their work, to me, that is just like palpable. Like I can't get enough of it. Like, why would you want to be anywhere else than being around these people working at the highest level, enjoying themselves?
Well, I'll tell you, Eureka College is that place.
It sounds like it. Like
Eureka College Wrestling, EC baby.
Well, tell me more about Eric Beal. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I know a lot about Dylan Real. And like I said, that guy he's the stuff, man. He's the real deal. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's helping the kids, and he's using the facilities. And so that's all about those connections. Coach Beal he is a unique individual, man. He's soft-spoken, a family man, Christ-centered individual, and I just love him, man. And he creates a family atmosphere out there at Eureka College. And those kids really and truly love him, and he genuinely has their best interest at heart. And so it's been a family. Matter of fact, when we break and we come together as a team, those kids will break on family. And that's real. It brings everybody from all walks of life together. And it is a family. And I feel very much a part of the Eureka program. So, phenomenal things are happening, I'm telling you.
What do you think the difference is between your program versus something in like a larger city with a lot of resources?
These kids are competing and are there because they want to be there. They're scholar athletes. They're students first, and they recognize they have their priorities together, and they're there because they want to be there. As I said, they're not on a athletic scholarship, so to manage their studies, their personal time and practice and making weight, that's a labor of love, and they're doing it week in and week out. And I just try to be there to provide support, emotional support, and encourage them. And it helps that you've been there and been at a level where they're trying to get to. So it's just fun, and it's therapeutic for me. I love it. I can have a release, and it's just been, I used to weigh 350 pounds, man. I'm getting back down. I'll be 50 in October. My goal is to bench press max 400 before I turn 50. I've already done 350 before I hit that goal a little early, and now I'm trying to get down to 250 pounds.
Dang, putting up 330. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, 355 yesterday. So, yeah, not too bad for a 49-year-old.
Dude, I'm not
I'm a
even
grandpa
cool.
now. So I'm a grandpa now. So.
I'll say I was well when you said you're going into the gym and you're just like you're able to like really like go and like get things going. I was just imagining you just tossing people around on the mat, just using that strength, just throwing them into the wall.
I'm no slouch.
Hey, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
For like, let's say you've got somebody who's been wrestling for 6 months. Maybe you've been wrestling for 6 months. When you're just trying to find that groove. What was like your favorite move or routine to practice when you were kind of first starting out in those first 6 months?
In that first 6 months, when I first started, it was a double leg takedown and a single leg takedown. I had to try to differentiate between the two. So if your head's on the inside on a single leg, you have to learn a post. If your head is on the outside on a single leg, you're going to get in trouble. You have to learn how to switch over to a double. So the differentiating between those two, knowing when to transition to a double leg and a single leg, I find that, if you're first starting off, that's where most people have a lot of trouble. Because if you're shooting with your head outside, that needs to be a double leg, not a single leg. So teaching people the fundamentals, it's a feeling out process. It's instinctive. You got to know when to make that transition. And so I had to learn that 6 months, year, but that I find that being head inside, head outside. It's head position, collar ties, or when you're tying up, you just got to create motion in space and angles. That's what I would say for a beginner. Your first thing they teach you is a stance. That's the basic. Don't cross your legs.
That was for all my my John Jones people out there that want to try to learn how to wrestle on YouTube. Get your start. Single leg, double leg takedowns. Get on YouTube, go, and then when you're ready, call Tyson. What about now? Like, what's your favorite move right now for you to perform?
Oh, when I'm pushing the guys, I qualified for nationals in my sophomore year at 158 pounds. I weigh 300 now, but my frame, I still have middleweight moves, lightweight moves. So I'm a leg rider, and I'm a unique. I have unique technique, being that big, being able to ride legs, and so I'm really good on the top position. And I try to, when I see guys who are working on the top, I can work with them because that's kind of my expertise. Tilts, bar arms, freestyle be leg laces, but folk style, just being in that top position and riding legs and keeping hip pressure, tight waist, bar arms. I like all of that.
That's awesome. Well, and so for a wrestler getting out of college, they're finishing up and they're wanting to get themselves into mixed martial arts. You've trained them, you've given them every ounce of knowledge that you have. What complementary skill set do you think they should learn first?
If they're going to be transitioning to mixed martial arts, they got to get some boxing under their belt, because they got their ground game together, and now they need to work on their boxing, I would say. And if they could do a little Muay Thai, I think that would be good, because you have a combination of kicks and punches. So that's the way I would approach it.
Say the Muay Thai clinch is a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun grappling there.
Yeah, but I equate that to like a front headlock or a snap down position, because that's what you're gonna snap somebody down. It's almost like a Muay Thai clinch, except for you're taking them straight to the ground. See, but in Muay Thai, you would be taking them straight to the knee, a knee to their face.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I've just always been so curious, because like there's so many wrestlers that are out there in the world right now, but I feel like I don't see a ton of wrestlers that are like great boxers, just like outstanding boxers. You know what I mean? I almost feel like there's like, once you dedicate to the wrestling discipline, like that's your foundation, and then you can supplement with boxing. What do you think on that?
with MMA, most of your elite MMA guys are wrestlers. That's the foundation. That's the bedrock. It's the grappling. So when to your point, when you were asking me what would you recommend they work on, I would say Muay Thai, boxing, punching, or boxing. Just learning the art of pugilism, the punching. That's key, because the wrestling's going to come. It's natural. It's second nature to you. But boxing, you got to work on those techniques, and that's. I would love to partner with a boxing trainer. They work on the boxing, I work on the grappling. We have a heck of a conditioned athlete.
But heck yeah, I mean, we know a bunch of boxing trainers. We can hook you up with one if you'd like.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's all about growing the sport of MMA, any combat sport, and I'm trying to recruit some guys who are going to be dedicated to the craft. First of all, they got to be scholars, and then the athletics comes second. But because we want them to be productive members of society and be gainfully employed long after their MMA career is over and their wrestling career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be out in the workforce, because it goes hand in hand.
So
go ahead, Achu.
So, Mr. Parks, how do you think Peoria and the Central Illinois area can promote combat sports and support combat sports?
I think you're doing it now with this podcast and just getting it out, getting it to the right people. Exposure is everything. That's key. You guys are doing a great job. And because like I said, I asked my head coach if it was all right, and he said absolutely, go ahead. So it all starts with word of mouth. And when people see your passion and you're being sincere, that's what it's about. When you're helping to transform and change a community and let people know there is an outlet. I think that's important. And that's the direction I would like to see it go. Some of the inner city kids who feel that they don't have an outlet, they can have one, and we can create one. And pick up some gloves, not a gun.
Yeah. I see. That's exactly what the
I'm
Gloves Up, Guns Down event is all about. That's what happened on the July 28th. That's Robert Bell's, if I recall. Is that right, Anshuman?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So
any time they can release aggression, we just want to provide avenues and ways for them. That's my hope for this.
Tell you how many people I have heard just say those exact words. Like, we just need to give these kids a space where they can go and they can just grow their skill set in a safe environment. And then beyond that, it seems like that seems to be the thing, So I am 100% behind your mission here. I think wrestling is a phenomenal way to get the youth, into, collegiate sports, into, sports in general, just off the streets and getting themselves into something healthy.
It's helped me in ways that I can't even imagine. I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I'm a chaplain with the Peoria Police Department, chaplain with the fire department, where wrestling teaches you how to multitask, how to prioritize, and also, it doesn't quench your passion. Even though you may be struggling, cutting weight, and you got schoolwork you got to do, and then your personal life might not be all that great, but you know how to push through and persevere. And so I have this fighter mentality, this warrior mentality, that I'm going to achieve whatever I can. Of course, by the grace of God, but also I got to put in the work. And wrestling taught me how to do that. It teaches you life skills.
I totally agree. And, the other thing that I've noticed is if, kids, adults, if they're involved in combat sports, there's a few things I'm not seeing them do. I'm not seeing them drinking. I'm not seeing them smoking, cigarettes, cannabis. They're not doing any of it. Like they're keeping themselves off of drugs. They're keeping themselves clean. But it's because they've given themselves over to something, something that they know is going to be able to enlighten them in a greater way, whether it's, physically, mentally, emotionally. So I love seeing that dichotomy between the work that you do.
Absolutely. And one of the things too, sometimes, and this from psychology, if a kid's been told they're nothing long enough, they begin to believe it, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We got to change the narrative. If we give them something to do, build them up, show them the right way, and let them go from there, they can be successful. And I'm telling you, it does wonders for their self-esteem.
Yeah, I was actually reading a study on this. They was talking specifically about kids from the age of, it was 2 to 7. If you, instead of acknowledge them for completing a task, acknowledge the effort put into the task. Because then, if they complete a task and say fail, their self-esteem won't drop because the effort is the reward. It's the fascinating play on just words that you can use with people around you that will change, how environmental impacts, or how the environment impacts them throughout their life.
Yes, yes. And with my work as a chaplain, I see that a lot too. I don't go in there trying to superimpose my convictions, but people, you just try to meet them where they're at with care and compassion. I think that's important, and edifying to build them up. That's what I endeavor to do, and being a coach, that helps me to be able to just reach a broad array of people and a chaplain. So there is that interesting dichotomy as well. It's always a twofold approach for me.
Well,
I'm just
I
as
was
much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was curious about your time with the Peoria Police Department and the fire department as a chaplain. Like, what does that work entail?
Well, we go out on critical incidents. Say if there's well, I went out on the calls. I do ride-alongs with the police, and I do ride-alongs with the fire department as well. Talk to the officers, talk to the firemen on a personal level, and just try to have spiritual and emotional support. Uh, Let them know we're there for them, and also the community. And sometimes, if there's a critical incident, they'll call us out. We'll go out if there's a shooting or an untimely death. They may ask us to go out and for aftercare with victims and survivors. So we've been able to do that.
That's a brave thing to do.
Yeah, that's incrable. Do you feel
It
like you
is.
have
I'm
all
humbled.
the resources that you need to do that at the level that's
Yeah.
needed for the community?
We're there to provide spiritual and emotional support. So it's a form of pastoral care. I am a pastor too, so we do that. Now, of course, we refer on if we have to, if we need to, if it's out of our scope. And we do continuing ed, so um, continuing education units, and um, so I don't go, outside of my scope. We have to refer on when it's something like that. But as far as spiritual and emotional support, we can provide that because
Uh,
everybody, pastors can be a chaplain, but every chaplain can't be a pastor.
yeah, and
If
I
that
had a
makes sense.
question about that. So in your, um, you know, sorry, in your title of your LinkedIn, it has you Reverend Tyson Parks III. What's the difference between a pastor and a reverend?
Good question.
Reverend is ordained clergy, and so I am an itinerant deacon with the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So once I've had my ordination, once I met my educational requirements, which is a bachelor, the minimum is a bachelor. I have a Master of Arts in Applied Theology, and I'm a certified chaplain with the American Chaplains Association. So a reverend is ordained clergy. So most pastors are reverend, but you can pastor without being ordained. You can be licensed,
Oh.
and you can pastor as a supply. I am a full-time pastor. I pastor Bethel United Methodist Church.
Wait, pastors are licensed?
Supply pastors are licensed, but I had to get licensed prior to my ordination.
Okay.
Fascinating. So I didn't know anything about that, and it's
It
always been
entails an
something in the back of my
educational
head.
process. Yeah, oh yeah.
That's
Most
very
most
cool.
mainline denominations, you have to meet a certain level. You have to meet educational requirements, and then you have to do. We do CEUs. I do continuing ed, just like as a chaplain and as a pastor.
Hey, are you going to be able to come out to the boxing shows on Friday or Sunday?
I won't because I got a lot going on with the church, but I was sending you some stuff of what I got going on too. So hopefully you're getting it. But I won't be able to make that this time, but I plan on being at some of the stuff in the future. It's summertime, and I'm doing a lot of workshops, and so once that dies down a little bit, I'll try to make some of those events, and I'm hoping to, because I want to promote the college as well.
Well, yeah, I was. If you were going to be there, I wanted to introduce you to everyone, because I'm pretty sure they're all going to be there for these two events. The 26th is happening at what, 6:30? Anshuman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's happening at 6:30. They got several bouts happening, amateur bouts, and then they've got the Sunday events happening at noon, from noon to 5. Both of them are, I think, the first one's at $22, second one's $20 at the door. Like, it's going to be awesome. I'm hoping that we get a few thousand people show up to this event and just blow
That'll
the
be
roof
great.
off.
That'll be great.
Awesome. Well, hey, Reverend Tyson Parks, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Assistant coach at Eureka College. You're working with the wrestling program there, along with the regional training center at Eureka College, and then the Eureka Kids Club for wrestling. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We'll be happy to answer any of those. Or if anybody would like to get in touch with Reverend Tyson Parks, reach out. We'll be happy to connect you all.
Yeah, and I'll connect you to Coach Beal, and man, let's grow this thing.
Yeah, say ask Coach Beal if he wants to be on the cast, and I'd love to have Dylan on here too.
Will. Yeah, definitely. I'll make sure that I'll let him know.
Well, hey, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful night. I look forward to seeing you around town.
All right, listen, you guys take care. It looked like I lost you again. Hope you guys take care. Have a good one. And yeah, send me the link to this. I want to check it out. I'll make sure he sees it.
Thank you.
Will do. Thanks for being here, Rev.
Hey, thank you for having me. You guys have a great day.